On the 6th Sunday of Christmas, my demo shared with me a little hot chocolate treat box. Perfect little gift for your postman, your garbage man, neighborhood kids, teachers, anyone you want to give a little gift to that will give them some warmth and enjoyment and help them to think of you at the same time. This contains 4 Hershey Nuggets that are wrapped. I began wrapping Hershey Nuggets probably, I don't know, 18 years ago, 15 years ago, something like that. Stampin' Up! Actually carried a couple of stamp sets at one point where you could wrap them for different occasions. So they had a stamp that was in the shape of a wrapper for Halloween, one for Valentine's Day, Christmas, all those kinds of occasions. And they were a little bit harder to use because you actually had to stamp and hope you were stamping straight. It was back when it was just totally wood mount. And wrapping with designer series paper is much easier and quicker. And then it also contains 2 packages of a hot cocoa mix. I found this at Target. If you were, and I wanted something red to go with my packaging. But if you were to maybe use the Swiss Miss, which I think are bluish, white and blue, and you wanted to do snowflakes, you had some sort of designer series paper that was more in that line, or you made your own, then Swiss Miss would probably be the way to go. But let's get started here. So we're using the clear acetate boxes that are meant for cards. They are found on page 137 of the 2021-2022 annual catalog. Right up here, they're hard to see because this one's wrapped and, you know, it's clear. So it is hard to see. A lot of things on this particular page for packaging are hard to see. But it's number 1. These fit roughly, it says 5 cards plus envelopes. Depending on the number of layers, it might only be, 4, it might be 6 or 7. But these are great for gift giving, just if you want to give a package of cards, which of course is generally appreciated. I know I've given cards to teachers in the past and they have loved them. Anyway, it comes like this, and you'll just fold it. You can kind of stick your hand in there and fold it the other way to get those other creases going. Fold down on all these, what look to be score lines. And you'll fold one edge in. And I think that this is the front of the card. So wherever the flap is attached to, the flaps are attached to the front of the card or card box. So this will be the back over here because that's where it tucks in. So forming them is pretty easy. I found it is easier to wrap this when it is actually filled with things. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my peppermint hot cocoa. You know what else would be great to put in this little package? Candy canes, those little miniature candy canes. Those would be great. And if you want to stick in these, wrapping these are very simple. You just need your paper trimmer. And you need a piece of designer series paper that's 1 inch wide and 3 inches long. So scraps are great. There's a 3. Here's a 3x1. Let me get this other one out. And since the designer series paper is double-sided, that also works great. I think this one's 3 also. It is great. Get out your Hershey Nuggets. By the way, if you wanted to do this for fall, sometimes they make apple cider in a mix, or they have just, you know, other kinds of flavors as well of hot chocolate. I personally love the Hershey Nuggets that are almond and toffee, and those have sort of a brass kind of, I'm not sure if it's brass, probably copper foil, and that is beautiful with fall leaves. So wrap those in a fallish kind of paper, you'd be all set. I'm going to just put a little adhesive on one end, and then I wrap it around, doing my best to line it all up. Just press down. If you want to use Stampin' Seal to make it a little bit of a tighter fit or a more permanent fit, you can. I think the regular Stampin' Seal seems to work just fine. You can also use Tear and Tape, but that seems to be a little bit more overboard for what you need. In an ideal world, I probably wouldn't use this pattern because that's what I'm using for my wrap. But I am trying to show you that you can use scraps, and some of these are hidden anyways in the box by the wrapper. It's a great project for you to mass produce because it goes pretty quickly. I'm going to take this, not this particular piece because this one's already been cut down. I need a 12-inch long piece. I'm going to get out my Painted Christmas Designer Series paper. And go ahead and cut a 2-inch wide piece. Now this 2 inches is arbitrary, but you can, because it's 12 inches wide, you can get 6 pieces out of one Designer Series sheet. Let's go ahead and put these candies in the box. I'll put this one next. I think this one gets hidden. And let's try this one. Go. Now, if you notice, it won't go down any further, and that's because the little lip from this piece is here. So you can just open it back up a little bit and push it down. There we go. And I staggered my hot chocolate so that it went all the way to the top. Now, I'm going to wrap this around and simply just starting on one end, and I'm going to pinch as I go around on the corners just to help this fit. Just pinch, so it's an informal score line. I'm not really scoring. You could use just regular tape. You could use Tear and Tape on the back there, whatever. And there we have our wrap. I will get out some of my Baker's Twine Essentials pack. And I thought that there are 5 colors in here. And I'm pretty sure I dropped one. So pause for just a second. Oh, here it is. Didn't need to pause. I didn't drop one. I know I dropped something. I heard it drop. I chose this particular one because it picks up the crumb cake that's in the back of this paper. I'm doubling it up. And see how that, I'll show you the one I have here, that looks. But you could also use any kind of ribbon that you wanted. Something that ties nicely in a bow works best. Here is the Evening Evergreen. Whoop, sliding a little bit. Here's Evening Evergreen. Make sure it's not twisted in the back. It's not. Go ahead and cut that off. And just tie this over here on the side in a nice, neat little bow. I normally keep it on the spool so that I'm not wasting much. I am going to waste a little bit of ribbon here. Must be filming a project video. That's why I can't seem to tie a bow. There we go. You got just a little bow off to the side. Play with it until you get the ends the way you like it. And then you'll just trim the ends. Looks nice enough right there, but we need to stamp a little bit because, hey, that's what we like to do, stamp. My piece of basic white cardstock is going to measure 2 3/8 by 3 5/8. And I need a mat to go underneath that. So I'm going to tie in the Real Red. With a Real Red scrap. And I'll need that to measure 2 1/2 by 3 3/4. And I happen to know what I'm stamping, which is why I know these measurements. It just gives a little bit of a border all the way around. I'm going to bring in my Delivering Cheer stamp set, my Tuxedo Black ink. I'm using this image right here. Ink up my stamp. There we go. And I think we need a Real Red sentiment underneath. And Warming Thoughts to You this season seems to go nicely with what we're giving. There we go. And now we just need to color this image. Obviously, you could use some more solid images, maybe with the Painted Christmas stamp set that goes along with this set. You could pull in a snowman. You could do whatever you wanted to. I happen to really like this set, so I'm going to use it. I'm going to bring in some of my Stampin' Blends to color. Now, I know that Painted Christmas uses colors of Soft Sea Foam and Pear Pizzazz and Soft Succulent, although the piece that I have right here doesn't have a whole lot of Soft Succulent in it. It seems to be more in the Evergreen and Soft Sea Foam and Pear Pizzazz area. I'm also going to bring in Crumb Cake for the wrapping, the paper bag wrapping that is there. I'll start with a wash. I'm going to make her coat Soft Sea Foam. I'm going to put down a whole layer of that. I'm also going to make her mittens Soft Sea Foam. I'll bring in the dark and just add some shading around some of those edges. I'll come back in, and although this one seems to be blending pretty nicely, just blend it away. I need some evergreen. I think this is my light evergreen. I'll be using that for the cuffs on her jacket. I'm going to wait to color the stuff up there. I'm going to bring in the light crumb cake to put a wash all over this paper bag that this is wrapped in. This, again, is tying in the colors of our designer series paper. There's a little piece right down here. And if you don't color anything in here, it looks very unnatural. I think that this bag actually wraps around the back. Maybe it goes up a little higher. So I just pretend that there's a line going all the way around there. And actually, because it's so much further in the back, I'll probably use the dark color in there as well. Some of these are leaves in here, so I'll leave them alone. Add a little bit of dark to give some distinction to the edges here. Come back with a light to blend. Now, obviously, if you're mass producing, you might not actually want to choose a stamp where you're coloring so much. Totally understandable. But I'm just doing one for a video, so it's fine for me. Bringing in the evergreen again and coloring some of the leaves. I'm pretending those are fir boughs. Let's see. Let's do some of these in dark. I'm just really kind of coloring over. There we go. I can imagine some of these are sprigs with berries, so I'm really just putting dots of red where the berries are. I'm going to call this one the same thing. And let's bring in some dark sea foam for some of the rest of this to add a little bit of color. And if I want, I can actually go ahead and use one of the crumb cakes. That looks pretty in that arrangement as well. Oh, and I need to give her scarf a little color. It's going to come in with a real red. And there, the coloring is done. Let's mount this on our red piece. There we go. Bring this back. Now I could put this on dimensionals. I'm just going to put some here in the middle. I don't need it on the ends because I want this belly band to be able to come off here. This person could then reuse this for something else. And there we have it. If you wanted to create a tag, there is a to and from in this Delivering Cheer set. But cute little gift. And that's the 6th Sunday of Christmas. See you next week.